Spoleto and Piccolo Spoleto are back for another exciting year. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with both Nigel Redden and Scott Watson one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores.
Gentlemen, it's so good to see you again.
Good to be here with you.
I appreciate this. So let me go the newspaper route for a little bit. Who, what, when, where, why, and how for Spoleto and Piccolo this year?
Well, I suppose I'll start by saying Spoleto begins on May 25th, which is just a few days away now, and we run through June 10th, and it's going to be a really great festival this year.
And Scott, when you look at Piccolo, what sticks out in your mind for this year?
Well, I think that what's really exciting is we're not just animating all of the corners of Charleston that we've tended to, but we're continuing to push out new directions and taking a lot more ticketed events and moving beyond just public parks and greenways and trying to animate corners of West Ashley. We'll have some outreach events out in Johns Island. We'll have, of course, a great program in James Island. So wherever you are in Charleston, you'll be able to find Piccolo Spoleto, and it's 500 plus events, kind of whether you like it or not. And we're really excited to see how the artists interact with the audiences in a more formal setting out in the neighborhoods. We know they do great when it's an informal, casual party in the park, but we're just really excited to see new opportunities alongside long-standing traditions.
And you talk about those 500 events. Which one sticks out in your mind personally?
Right now, 10 days out or so, it's certainly Sunset Serenade, our opening concert with the Charleston Symphony Orchestra at the U.S. Custom House. And this year we have a great program featuring very significant American composers, Copland, Bernstein. But what we're most excited about is the addition of Low Country Voices to that program this year. So part of the reason it's most prominent is having a plein air symphonic concert without a rain alternate. This is enough to add to the gray hairs on my head. It's kind of our signature moment, and it feels like as long as we can keep being down there, as long as the drainage work doesn't change things, we'd like to keep that tradition alive and continue to grow that audience.
And Nigel, when I talk to people around town, it's all about War and Treaty and Ranky Tanky.
Well, War and Treaty has just been added to our finale, so that's on June the 11th in the Joe. I mean, this is the first time that we're going to be in the Joe. We're not going to be at Middleton Place, and it's going to be much easier to get to, I think, for people who are in town, just to get over to the ballpark. And the War and Treaty begin at about, well, actually, they're coming late. They're coming, they're just on their way back, so they will just be here in time. People who arrive early may hear the sound check.
There you go.
And then it's Lone Bellow after them. And Ranky Tanky, I think it's terrific that Ranky Tanky has such a loyal following in Charleston. I mean, they are they're quintessential, they embody so much about the Low Country and what they do. And the concerts have been, really thoroughly sold. People are calling me for tickets who have tried talking to, Quintin or someone in the band who says, you should have called me earlier.
That's them, but they're great people. So, what event plays in your mind personally, that keeps playing in your mind that you said that you should go to see yourself?
Well, one of the things that I feel is really going to be significant is a small piece. I mean, one of the wonderful things about Spoleto is that we're able to do some very big things and then some rather small things. One of the smaller pieces is a piece called Borders, and it's about refugees, and it's about people getting across borders. And clearly it's an issue it's an issue that faces America, but it's an issue that really faces people in the Middle East and in Europe, where borders have become really a focal point of what is happening in Syria, what's happening in Kurdistan, and so on. And it's a piece of the Wall Street Theater. And last year, the same writer and the same actress did a piece called Angel, which is about a Kurdish markswoman who actually was part of the resistance in Kurdistan from the Islamic State. And it was a piece that brought the audience to tears and also to laughter. And I think that it's a very telling piece about what's going on in the world today.
Let me take a step back. What does Spoleto Festival mean to you?
Well, it means an enormous amount to me because I started working at the Spoleto Festival in Italy when I was 18, and so that was 49 years ago, but who's counting? What it means is an opportunity to see things that you wouldn't necessarily see during the rest of the year. It's an opportunity to test your taste, and it's an opportunity to really see how going to one performance followed by something that's really quite different enriches both. And I find that, for me, the high point of the festival really is the festival. That is the idea of going from one performance to another, rather than simply one performance. And at the moment we're in rehearsal, so we've got 2 operas that are on their way to being fully formed. One of them is the quintessential Italian opera, Pier dei Palme, and it's just sort of fabulous to hear this kind of papa music that conjures up Donizetti and Bellini and Mozart, even prefigures Verdi. And I mean, the music is absolutely glorious. And then we're doing a very contemporary piece called Trade Codes, which is quite different. And got a very contemporary sensibility, and I think the juxtaposition of the two is just terrific.
Scott, let me go to this, the Piccolo Spoleto poster. I believe it's what, Dinner and Michelle?
The poster artist is Tammy Boyce.
Excuse me, that's her, yeah, that's her.
So she's a West Ashton-based artist.
Right.
You may recognize some of her line drawing from the Frothy Beard logo out in Northbridge.
Right.
But she's somebody we had been wanting to work with for a while. She's recently done a great book called Put a Monocle on It, which cubes up kind of woodland creatures and makes them more sophisticated by having a monocle. But we thought that the search for kind of playful whimsy was captured with her approach, and we think that the dinner and a movie, the date night kind of thing of this robot taking his own friend that he's made out to see a show captured a lot of what makes Piccolo special.
And I know that you've been here for at least 6 years now, manning the Piccolo Spoleto Festival. What is the biggest difference between 6 years ago and right now in your mind?
Well, I think 6 years ago, or 5 years ago, 6 festivals back, when I walked into, was largely an valedictory moment in no small measure because Mayor Riley's tenure is coming to a close. Many of these festival traditions dated back to conversations at City Hall with somebody saying, "Mayor, what if we?" And my predecessor, Ellen Dresser Morrill, often saying, "Yes, and how can we? And how can we find funding for it? How can we find the permissions to do it?" And so on the front end, we didn't want to kind of take away from what people expected. And so you see many of the same things. You'll see great youth programming in schools and the public library. You'll see 80-some artists out at Marion Square for all 17 days. But we're also trying to make sure that the festival is reflective of Charleston's changing audience, and that we're really serving all of the artists, not just those who have been on the program before. So we have some very direct efforts to stitch together things that make sense. If you can't come and see Rankin Tanky, but you're interested in Gullah culture, we have a long-standing program with Alfonso Brown at Mount Zion AME, where they present camp meeting, but equally, Mount Zion AME will be hosting chamber music programs with the Spotlight Concert Series. And then Ann Caldwell and the Magnolia Singers will be doing a program at the City Gallery as an extension of Cookie Washington's exhibition, The Dialogue in Black and White. So we don't want to see these things as being independent and individual attractions. We really want to see how they come together to give the festival goer, who's attending both Spoleto and Piccolo, a chance to see something that's authentic, something that's inspiring, and something that really has as its goal either the ultimate achievement for that individual participating artist, or this playful fun that uses the arts to bring us together and create community.
You talk about funding, you talk about arts, you talk about trying to keep these events in the neighborhood as Charleston is changing. What is the state of arts in your mind?
Ooh, that's a big question. The arts in Charleston, the arts in the world.
Charleston and South Carolina, but you can talk about the world too.
And I do think that the role of the arts is changing, and as it always does. The arts always evolve, and they reflect society, and they lead society, and they sometimes lead in an off direction, and sometimes they lead straight forward. And I think one of the interesting things that's happened is that, I mean, so many people are engaged. I mean, there's a kind of movement to engage in the arts and to look back at older pieces and see them through very much contemporary eyes. So, I mean, this 19th century opera that we're doing is looked at through the eyes of contemporary feminism, and which makes the story, I mean, so much more relevant, and it sort of goes back even 400 years. This particular story about a husband, frankly, abusing a wife and eventually killing her. In operas we've done sort of slightly elevated, so it's poison. So it's not beating her up. But I mean, clearly this is an issue that goes back forever. On the other hand, there are many pieces that are, continue to simply entertain. And I think that the arts can do both. They can make you think, and they can make you happy. They can make you sad too, for that matter. They can evoke emotions, or they can actually be provocative in some kind of thoughtful way. But I think we're beginning with a kind of celebration this year with John Baptiste at the Cistern, and I mean, clearly he is someone who interleaves Stephen Colbert's public commentary.
Sure.
I mean, so that while his music is not particularly political, clearly it's always seen in a context that makes it quite political.
Interesting. Let me fast forward to the end of the festival. Write the headline. The Spoleto Festival will be what?
I don't write the headline because I get to put on I get to influence what it is that we do, and I don't feel that the end of the festival is a headline. I feel that it's a series of memories, and by the way, I think many people do want to have a headline, and sort of want to summarize it in one word or just a short phrase, and I don't think that's enough. I think that what we will remember from it is something that's much more complex. And one of the other opening acts of this year's festival is a look back at the work of Jerome Robbins, and apropos of Leonard Bernstein, when he was fresh off West Side Story, when he came to the Festival of Two Worlds in Spoleto, Italy in 1958 to create a ballet company there, and he premiered a certain number of his ballets in Spoleto. We want to pay a tribute to him because he would have been 100 this year. And Robbins is remembered perhaps, well, in the ballet world, he's remembered for many dances that he created for the New York City Ballet, but he's remembered, I think, most for what he did on Broadway. And we are looking at the way in which he created pas de deux, in which he had a couple, a man and a woman, dance together, and the way in which those just two people on the stage can be so expressive. And Miami City Ballet is bringing a group of soloists from Miami plus some people from New York City Ballet to dance Robbins' pieces. And that's the opening of the festival. And it's a way of looking back and remembering what the festival has been and renewing it again for the future.
Scott, what memories do you want people to really play in their mind about Piccolo Spoleto this year?
How unseasonably pleasant the weather was.
From your lips.
Really, I think what we hope for is that creating memories, that being together with friends, neighbors, family, new acquaintances. We love when we see a house break and people who didn't know each other are walking out deep in conversation.
Absolutely.
And that really is at the heart of what we do. Obviously, for the participants, we hope it can be a springboard. We hope it gives them a chance to test out something new artistically, get some response. The 40 to 50 minute program, with all of the other things going on, they have access to an audience and to a great platform for promotion. We hope that what they can try out here and the kind of creative risk-taking they'll take will give them renewed confidence heading into the autumn to spring season moving forward. And if they wind up with a little bit of extra box office earnings in their back pocket to help fund that moving forward, all the better. We really like to see everybody do not necessarily equally well, but do well enough that justify their participation and where they're not in arrears moving forward. For many companies, they're trying to close their fiscal year on June 30th, so the last thing we want is somebody who took a bath. And we spend a lot of time in these kind of winter months getting ready for this program to come out a month out, making sure that all of the choices have been thought through, and that we don't have 2 shows about a circus elephant being electrocuted playing on the same date at the same time, which we did have happen once because one was at the college and one was a visiting show at Cure Theater. But, there's sometimes sort of happy accidents you find out after the fact, these, kind of synchronicities and alignments, the themes that don't really emerge until, and it's not on the 10th or the 11th of June, it's hopefully months later.
Exactly, and I do think that those themes emerge differently for different people. I mean, that is, everyone makes their own festival, because you can't see all your events. You've got 500. I mean, how could you? I can't see all of mine. I've only got 150. But and audience members see a variety of different things, and then create the connections between those in very personal and sometimes very idiosyncratic ways. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, when you think about it, in many ways, it's like looking at a sky map of constellations. Of course, you're trying to figure out how does that represent a dragon or 2 twins or whatever else. But the whole reason for saying the constellations is to see how they interrelate. Your navigation is by being able to place one in context to the other. So we hope that artistically, both for the performer or for the visual artist who's exhibiting work, the interaction they'll have with their audience will be informative. But particularly for the festival goer, the person that we love to see is the one who has a big stack of tickets to Spoleto in their hand and are looking to do more. We love to see the local who doesn't feel that they're quite prepared to part with that much money on something that they haven't heard about yet with word of mouth, so they'll spring for some Piccolo tickets on the front end, and then when they hear that all the bus is for Ranky Tanky, kick themselves if they hadn't bought tickets in advance. And for anybody who does get shot out of Ranky Tanky, we have a fantastic program up at Nexton this year on that same day, earlier in the afternoon, with Sandy Miller and the Congregation, a fantastic young jazz band that plays traditional Americana music in a very upbeat fashion, with Asheville's Empire Strikes Brass band opening up. So we recognize that there are all types of music and all types of opportunities to engage with it, but whether it's sitting at a perfect night at the college in the Cistern, or coming out to Hampton Park for our finale the night before Spoleto's, what we want people to do is come out and engage, participate. These are 17 days. We don't see Charleston full tilt like this with the arts to the same extent at other times during the year. But really, if your approach is, nothing appeals to me, you clearly haven't read the book. You clearly haven't looked through the program.
Yes.
And if you need any help, we both have fantastic box office staffs that will help you find the perfect show, whether it's a premium ticket like an opera or ballet, or whether it's a free event.
That's so good to hear. Well, Nigel Redden and Scott Watson, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
And it's been a pleasure.
Likewise. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. See you at the festival.
Yes, sir. I'll be there.